Guy just ran that stop sign like a mother. Thanks, bud. That's why you got to be careful coming into the intersections, guys. You have to. You got to be careful riding these things. It's not going to be you that causes the accident most of the time. If you've got some mileage on these wheels, if you've got practicing your skills, go watch my tips and trick videos. If you've been practicing, you've been putting miles on, chances are it's not going to be your fault that you get in an accident. It's going to be some asshole in a car that ends up causing it for you. So just be careful. Should be limited to 6 amps. I did put my Alien Rides fast charger. Alien Rides, getting a lot of pub in this video. Oh, what's up? But I used my Alien Rides fast charger at 5 amps, had no problem. So I'd say that's probably your comfortable charging range, is right about 5 amps. All right, so yesterday I had something dropped off that I think you guys are gonna want to check out. Let's see. What's in the box?
Show you with the box. What was in the box? What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Oh, it is heavy. Oh, jeez. All right. So, obviously, I just got the EX20S not that long ago, so no, this is not a new wheel for me. However, our good friends over at Alien Rides were nice enough to send me out a Begode Hero to test ride, which would be a great wheel to compare to my brand new EX20S, so let's open it up. Pull this sucker out of here. Woo! All right, the Begode Hero. So the shock is currently not engaged. Oh, it comes with the nice spiked Begode pedals. I don't know if that's going to come stock or not, but those, I love these Begode pedals. And look at these, they're all shiny and silver. Wow, they're different, they're new. There we go. So you hit the button 5 times real fast while it's on, turn it off, and then turn it back on, and it should engage like this. And here we go, our first look at the Begode Hero. It actually looks better in person than it does in the pictures. I thought it was always kind of an ugly wheel, honestly. But it's actually not that ugly. Right. I like the display, though. It's much bigger than I thought it was. I thought it was just a little tiny display. It's actually pretty big and pretty easy to read, even in the sun. Of course, it's flickering from the camera, but it doesn't flicker in real life. All right, cool. Definitely nimble. More nimble than my EX20S anyway. So let's turn it off and see. I don't know if this is the high speed or the torque. There or not. Right down in there it says. Yeah, it's hard to see from the camera, but right there it says it's the C38, which is the torque version. So basically, C30 motors are speed motors, C38 motors are torque motors. All that means is that the magnets are different widths. The skinnier the magnet, the faster the machine, but the less torque it's gonna have. So like the less braking power of the magnets. The C38's bigger magnets means they have more braking power, mean less speed. But that's fine. So the top speed on this thing is probably right around 35 miles an hour or something like that. It's not at full battery right now, so we'll do a spin test after I charge it, and we'll see what the actual top speed on this bad boy theoretically is. Basically, to figure out your top speed, what you're going to do is you're going to take your wheel, you are going to do a free spin test at maximum power. You're just going to pick it up and let the wheel spin until it cuts out. And you're going to subtract about 10 miles an hour from that. And that's kind of like your maximum speed that it can possibly go. All right, so we got it plugged in here. It's got 2 little charge ports in the back. It's currently at like 60% battery. We'll charge it up full, pump some air into it, and go for a little ride. All right, well, here we go. I'm out on a short ride right now with the suspension not inflated. I just want to see how it feels without the suspension engaged. Make sure that it feels like it's okay to ride it. If for some reason you had an issue with the suspension, or if you lost air in your piston or whatever, it feels pretty good. It's definitely got a lot of pep. But I want to lean into it a little bit. Make sure I'm not going crazy here. Got my app I use EUC World. Topped out at 26 miles an hour so far. Like I said, we don't want to push this wheel. It's not a high-speed wheel. But yeah, with no air in the suspension, it feels good. You could definitely ride it like this if you had to. It's nice and low to the ground. Feels pretty connected. I like it. But who's buying a Hero to not put air in the suspension, right? Let's go find some place to sit down and pump this thing up. Alright, so before we actually pump the suspension, let's do a free spin test and just see what kind of result we get here. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's see. 51.8 miles per hour. I don't know if you can see that or not in my app. We're at nearly full battery, so that's pretty much accurate. 51.8. So you figure the top speed on this thing's right around 40. Which 40 miles an hour, that's not bad. That's pretty good. As long as you're not going crazy on this thing, you shouldn't have any issues. It's a nice torque wheel, so it should bring you right to that 40 with no problems. But as always, guys, really don't ride any wheel anywhere near its top speed. That's not what they're made to do. Okay, you always want to give yourself a 5 to 10 mile an hour buffer at least. So I would not ride this wheel any faster than 35 miles an hour. It's just not safe. Alright, so let's take a little look at the suspension here. Looks like we've got a couple of linkage rods here and here. We've got two big bars up in the back. You can see that metal bar back there. We'll rip this thing apart a little bit better. I'm going to take these side pads on and lube it all up, because it does feel a little stiff in the little testing that I have done so far. One thing I don't like is how exposed this is. That's just kind of like out there. A little tiny crash and that's going to break. I'm not a big fan of where that's located. This piston doesn't appear to have any rebound adjustment either. So I'm not sure what size of a shock this is, but I might pop it out at some point. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to get to, actually. We'll see. We'll see how much of a pain in the butt it is to get to, but if we can pop this out, maybe I can pop the D&M shock off my EX20S in here. It does kind of look like a pain in the butt compared to the EX20 though. I was thinking it would be very similar, but I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so this is the shock pump that came with it. I think it's the same shock pump that's coming with the EX20S as well. It seems to work fairly well. The gauge on there is good. It's got one of these little pressure release buttons. And I'll show you how the end of this works in case you've never used one of these before, so that you don't lose any pressure when you take it off of the shock. Just know that these pumps are made specifically for pumping very high amounts of pressure. So they move very little amounts of air. Don't try and pump a tire with this. It's going to take you ages and you're not going to get anywhere. This is made specifically for putting, I mean, it goes up to 300 PSI, so you'd never put anywhere near that in a tire. So don't use this on tires. This is for the suspension only. Now let's take a look at how exactly this little piece here on the end works. Alright, so obviously first things first, unscrew this little cap here. Boom, boom. Put it down so you don't lose it, hopefully. Now we're going to take this, we're just going to screw this on. Pretty straightforward. Pain in the butt to do with one hand though. There we go. Alright, so you want to screw that on nice and tight, get it all the way down there so you're not leaking. Alright, that's pretty good. And then we're going to go ahead and pump this to about 150 pounds, I think is what I've read online, is a pretty good starting pressure. Alright, so we are just up above that 150 pounds now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this little black piece above it and unscrew just the black piece. You see how that's coming undone? And you'll hear it or you'll see it pop from the, oh, there it goes, from the pressure. So now this is no longer engaging the pin So any air that you hear hissing is just in this little chamber right here. So we're basically losing no air from the shock itself. So we know this is still right at that 150-ish pounds. All right, so we just pumped this bad boy up. And my initial impression is not bad. It feels a little stiff though, honestly. It doesn't feel, maybe I put too much pressure in it. Maybe it just needs to get lubed up or something. It just doesn't feel as smooth as my EX20S. Now, interesting to note that this wheel that was sent to me, once again, by Alien Rides. Thank you guys so much for sending this thing out to me. Awesome, I really appreciate it. Rob, Kevin, all the guys over on the Alien Rides team, you guys are the best. But they sent this out to me, and it only has 113 miles on it, so it's actually pretty much a brand new wheel. So, like I said, it might just need to get greased up to really, but we'll try a couple different things. Like I said, we're going to pull this thing apart a little bit. I'm going to try and put the better shock on it. We'll lube up the suspension pieces, and we'll see what this is like. But out of the box, feels good, but a little stiff. Yeah, it feels pretty good. It's not bad. It's somewhere between the V11 and the EX20S. It's not quite as cushy. I kind of thought it would be a lot cushier, honestly. I like it though. It's nice. It definitely takes the edge off. Let's go across this grass again. It does a really good job with the small bumps, that's for sure. I just don't know how it's going to do the big stuff. Here, let's jump off this little curb right here. Yeah, jumping off the curb was kind of mediocre. It's definitely got some zip to it though when you're accelerating. You gotta put a helmet on. Alright, let's go over some of the basic features of this wheel here. First things first, these pedals. I love the Begode Spug pedals. I have them on the EX20S. I got some for my EXN. If they come stock on this wheel, which it looks like they do, huge upgrade. I hate that they used to make you buy these pedals. I love that they're coming with them now. Now, out of the box, this pedal was a little bit loose, but I'm going to show you the easy fix for that, which I love that Begode has gone to these friction pedal models. If you guys haven't seen this friction design like is used on the V11, on the V12, on my EX20S, it's on this Hero. I'll show you exactly how to fix your floppy pedal and why I think every single unicycle should be using this friction style pedal, not magnets, not complicated King Song mechanisms that break. All they need are these little friction. I'll show you right now. So basically the way these pedals are mounted is there's a rod that runs through here and there's little screws on each end, okay? And there's one right here that tensions the bar. So if we go ahead and we just make sure, that these screws, see that one was a little bit loose, holding the rod in place are tight. That one feels pretty tight, and that was kind of sticking out. Tighten it a little bit more. Boom. Now this screw right here tensions the rod just a little bit and creates friction. So now this pedal will stay wherever you move it, which is absolutely amazing, especially if you're the kind of guy who uses jump pads or Clark pads or anything like that, so that it'll close and just hold right up against the Clark pad. It'll only just sit you know, an inch off the body instead of having to be all or nothing, or having to put your jump pads way up here where they're not really effective. They're not touching your foot. But yeah, I love this friction design. I think every single unicycle needs to be using this style. It's the cheapest, easiest to maintain. It's a no-brainer. Every single unicycle should use friction pedals like that. All right, one more little creature comfort here on the Hero is the kickstand. Let's give that a try. I've tried it out a little bit so far. I don't think it's quite as good as the X20S kickstand, but it looks a lot better. All right, let's try it in grass first. We'll just plop it there. We're on a little bit of incline here, but not working that great. Yeah, a little flimsy. It's not that great. Let's try it over on cement. All right, let's see here on cement. All right, well, works a lot better on cement, that's for sure. As far as lift switch goes, the lift switch on this is actually the handle. So when I pull this all the way up, the motor engages. So we can use it as a trolley. But if we go, it stops right there, the motor disengages. And then if you go all the way down with it, the motor will engage again. I only have one hand, so I'm not going to try and lift it up. I'll just drop it. All right, let's see. We already talked about the screen just for a second. It's kind of nice. You're not getting a very good picture of it here because of the frame rates of the camera. But basically, you got your kilometers per hour, a little battery indicator, your temperature in Celsius, and your total mileage in kilometers. So this has 188 kilometers on the wheel total, which is almost nothing. This thing's brand new. All right, it's got a little daylight running light around the edge here, which is kind of nice. The headlight, I don't know, it doesn't look that powerful. Let me see, you turn it on. It's nothing crazy, I don't think. What happens if I, ooh, you turn both on, okay. I don't know why they come on separately like that. All right, on the top here, it does have a little USB plug. Always love having a USB on your unicycle. I actually added one to my EX20S because it was lacking that. And this looks like a little light sensor. I don't know if that makes the screen brighter or if it automatically turns on the lights in the front or something. But it's interesting. We'll have to figure out what exactly that light sensor does. So the tail light on this thing is pretty pathetic. Kind of like the EX20S. Really just this little tiny strip in the back, nothing crazy. Yeah, I think that's something you would want to. If you do a lot of night riding, you might want to add some lighting to the back of these pads or something. It comes with a knobby tire, or at least mine did, which I don't hate. Riding on it for a little while here. I haven't put much mileage on this. I've only gone, I don't know, 4 miles so far. But it feels real nimble. Feels like it's got a lot of grip, and if you're going to be using this as a torque machine, taking this off-road, ripping up paths and stuff with it, jumping off crap, you probably want that extra grip from the knobby tire. Even though it is going to sacrifice some speed and a little bit of range, and it is only an 1800 watt-hour battery in these bad boys, but I still like it. It's got 2 charge ports in the back here. They're kind of janky, but they're fine. They're classic, just have normal little covers on them, the 5-pin layout, 100.8 volt chargers. Like I said, stock out of the box, it comes with a 2 amp charger. I believe because this has 2 of the 900 watt hour Begode packs inside of it, it should be limited to 6 amps. I did put my Alien Rides fast charger. Alien Rides, getting a lot of pub in this video. Oh, what's up? But I used my Alien Rides fast charger at 5 amps, had no problem. So I'd say that's probably your comfortable charging range, is right about 5 amps. As always though, guys, whenever you're charging your electric unicycle, if you don't have to charge fast, don't. If you can use the 2 amp charger, use the 2 amp charger. Slower, lower, the better. So the side pads on this thing, I'm not really a big fan of, but they kind of hit my shins in a weird place. I'm kind of a tall guy. I tend to like to ride a little bit frontward on these machines. And if you watch my stuff, you know me. Georgie likes it custom, right? So I'd probably be putting my own pads, maybe some jump pegs on there. We'll see if I have time to do that in the time that I have this. Alien Rides is nice enough to let me use this wheel for about a month, month and a half, something like that, they said. So I don't know if I'll have time to fully deck out and customize it, but we'll see. Again, like I said, I want to start with the shock. That's really where I want to live. I want to live on that suspension system, get this thing lubed up a little bit. 'Cause like I said, it's a little bit stiff out of the box here. I don't know if that's just because it's not properly lubricated. It feels a lot like my EX20S did after, you know, 900, 1,000 miles, where it just wasn't as smooth anymore. It just wasn't as nice. So a lube job on the EX20S fixed that instantly. So that might be all this thing needs to really get it feeling cushy. But all in all, I'm enjoying the ride on it so far. Let's keep riding. Ooh, I hit beeps there already. Let's see what oh, I can't see what the top speed was. I don't think I reset the app after. Yeah, it's still set for my free spin test. Dang it. I wanted to know what that beep was at. I was cruising pretty good. I want to say that was probably 30 miles an hour somewhere. I'll have to go in and play with the settings. I haven't changed the settings around at all. I don't know if that beep was a power beep or if it was a 30 mile an hour warning beep. That like 45 kilometers per hour. So what's that, like 30-ish? Starts beeping at me. That might be a settings thing though. Let me pop open the settings and see what happens. Yeah, no, actually it looks like all alarms are already disabled on this bad boy, and I was riding it on hard mode. So I'm gonna try medium mode now, but whatever that was, 45-ish kilometers per hour, we'll take a look when I get to the video. That's where it starts beeping at you. And you do not want to be riding the beeps, guys. Don't do that. If you find yourself on a wheel where you're constantly riding the beeps, it's time for a new wheel. Alright, so one other thing I want to talk about real quick is carrying this wheel like upstairs and stuff. So you do the little motor disengage here with the handle down to this little halfway spot so that the motor's not spinning, but I don't really love it. Like, it's still, it's a heavy wheel. Like, I don't know what it weighs, but it's heavy. It's got to be close to 70 pounds. I mean, it's a heavy wheel, and it's kind of awkward holding it from this one handle here. Like, I wish the handle was this way. It would just make a lot more sense ergonomically. Like, holding it this way just kind of sucks. Oh. And you have to hold it with one hand, which isn't great. I'd rather have it so I could grab it with two hands a little bit easier, or at least, like I said, more ergonomic, like the V11, which is probably about the same weight but feels a lot lighter just because I'm not holding it like this. I'm holding it like that. And the other thing is, I don't know how this is going to hold up over time. Like I said, this thing is heavy, and it doesn't look or feel flimsy at all, but I don't know. I guess it does kind of look flimsy. Like, that's barely the size of my finger. Like, these are small. It's a real heavy wheel. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best solution to lifting this thing. It works, but if you have this thing over the course of a couple of years, I don't know how that's gonna hold up. So this thing's definitely playful. It's got a lot of pep. It accelerates really fast, which I love. I love how hard it accelerates, but I need to be careful because that can get you in some trouble here with a wheel that only has a top speed of 35-ish miles, 40 miles an hour, absolutely top. Like, yeah, you know, I gotta be careful playing with that zip too much. It's one of the reasons that I tend to prefer the high-speed wheels. You know, it can be easy to lean into it real hard, really enjoy that acceleration that it has, but quickly eat up your power reserves, wind up overleaning this thing a little bit too easily. I feel like a lot of the overlean accidents I see occur on torque wheels for that exact reason. Like, you just feel like it'll accelerate forever until it drops you, right? But you're not getting one of these torque wheels to ride it on the road. You're not a street rider, then it's perfect for you. This is for trails. This is for riding out in the woods. You know, that said, that's probably why people are so excited about these 134, even 126 volt wheels. You get a little bit of both worlds, right? You kind of get the speed and the torque. You get that crazy acceleration boost that you would get from a high torque wheel while still being able to maintain a high speed threshold in the 45 to 50 mile an hour range, which is just a lot safer. You know, it's hard to go 45 miles an hour. Like, you really have to push your wheel in order to do that. You really have to push your body in order to do that. The amount of wind resistance you start getting as you approach 40 miles an hour is very intense. I noticed that anytime I want to go over 35, I mean, I have to try to go over 35, right? I'm not just accidentally leaning into it. So when 35 to 40 is your maximum, you're kind of right on that edge there where you could be getting yourself into a little bit of trouble. At least when it comes to street riding anyways, right? When you're out on the road with cars and stuff, sometimes you got to zip around a little bit faster. You got to accelerate to get out of the way of something. Sometimes you peak up over 40 miles an hour, at least I do. Let's hit this pothole. Yeah, not bad. Not great though, honestly. I definitely need to do some work on the suspension to get it to perform a little bit better than it is right now. It's not, it feels a lot like the V11, which does a great job of taking the shock out of it. Really, like, it's way better than no suspension, don't get me wrong, but after riding the EX20S for a while, I got used to that cushy, plusher suspension feel, and I was really expecting to feel that from this wheel. So, but then again, I've done a lot of work on my EX20S. I did change out the shock. You know, my shock has rebound adjustments. It's a much higher quality shock than whatever's in this. I greased up my wheel. This hasn't been greased, so let's stay tuned for a future episode. You know, I think tomorrow I'll probably rip this thing apart a little bit, work on the shock, get it greased up, get it lubed up, and then maybe we'll take it out into the trails. We'll go try hitting some hills, some bumps, some jumps. Well, not jumps, I'm not an extreme rider. I'm not trying to hurt myself. But we'll take it up some hills. We'll plop it on some rocks. We'll bring it over here to Lincolnwood State Park. There's a lot of off-road trails over there we can rip up and see how she performs going up steep hills, ripping through trails and such. All right, well, that's my first impression here, my day one ride on the Begode Hero. Very, very interesting wheel. I know that this is one of the most waterproof wheels out of the box that you can get. It definitely looks like one of the most finished products out of the box. Definitely the most polished Begode wheel, certainly. They definitely spent some time engineering and putting this thing together. So, yeah, look forward to a bunch more videos to come on this bad boy. This is just my day one out of the box impressions. And keep watching, and until next time, ride safe.